From space, Earth should look like this. A beautiful, half-bright planet of vibrant land and sea, with a completely dark night side hiding anything that exists on its surface. But it doesn't, because scattered across its surface are billions of tiny lights, the unmistakable signature of an inhabited world. Nearly every one of those lights represents us, our homes, our towns and cities, and from orbit they form a glowing map of humanity itself, the illuminated fingerprint of human civilization. In 2016, NASA created a stunning image based on real data of our planet at night from space. They called it the Black Marble. And that got me thinking, can I recreate an up-to-date version, a 2026 version? And it turns out I can. By using real images from NASA and NOAA's VERS satellite that even right now is continuously collecting data from orbit. Each pixel in this massive image shows 500 meters of Earth from space. It is the Black Marble of 2026, revealing millions of hidden stories in a single image. So let's zoom in and take a closer look. The first thing I noticed when looking across this map was this unusual pattern, located in northeastern Africa. Any ideas what it is? It almost looks like liquid gold dripping over a black canvas. But what we are actually seeing is the River Nile, the lifeblood of Egypt. For more than 6,000 years, this river has been the lifeline of one of the oldest civilizations on Earth. Today, about 95% of Egypt's population lives within just 20 kilometers of its banks. And beyond that narrow crack of light lies the vast Sahara Desert, one of the most inhospitable environments on the planet. From space and at night, that contrast becomes unmistakable, and you quickly realize the Nile is literally a river of life, but also of light. In some of Earth's regions, however, the light spreads so densely that entire countries begin to blend together, and nowhere is that more obvious than in Europe. From England into France, through Belgium and the Netherlands, across Western Germany, Switzerland and down into northern Italy, the lights merge into a vast web of human civilization. From space, it almost looks like a single megacity, complex infrastructures built over thousands of years. In places like the Po Valley in northern Italy, you can see that the glow becomes so intense that individual cities almost disappear completely, blending into one continuous sea of light. But if we cross the Atlantic Ocean, another pattern begins to emerge. Across the eastern half of North America, down past Boston, through Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., all the way into Florida and stretching inland across vast regions, the eastern United States glows with dense networks of cities and towns. From space, it almost looks as though half the country is illuminated with a dense web, while the other half is dotted with glowing, isolated islands like Denver, Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Salt Lake City. Approximately 80% of the US population lives on the eastern side of America, mainly because this is where the first major settlements from Europe began before they expanded westward. But mountain ranges, vast plains, and arid deserts made large-scale settlement more difficult in the west, leaving much of it far less densely populated. From space, at night, the east reveals a new world that expanded rapidly, filling the land with cities, industry, and connections in just a few centuries. But if Europe shows the density of human civilization, and North America shows how quickly it can grow, nowhere reveals the sheer scale of humanity quite like India. From space, the Indian subcontinent glows intensely, Across the Indo-Gangetic Plain, one of the most fertile regions on Earth, the lights stretch almost unbroken from Pakistan to Bangladesh. This single region alone is home to some of the most densely populated areas on the entire planet. In fact, nearly 20% of all humans on Earth live in India. Cities like Delhi, Mumbai, and Hyderabad form enormous clusters of light, each representing tens of millions of people. And when viewed from orbit at night, the result is unmistakable, one of the brightest concentrations of human activity anywhere on Earth. But not all large concentrations of humans leave such obvious traces of their existence. This is the Korean Peninsula. And while from space at night, South Korea shines brightly with a dense network of cities, industry, and infrastructure, the same cannot be said about its neighbour. Can you see that divide? That is the unmistakable border with North Korea. The point when the lights almost completely disappear. North Korea remains one of the darkest countries on Earth. Only the capital, Pyongyang, appears faintly against the surrounding darkness. The country suffers from chronic power failures, with the limited electricity they produce prioritised to Pyongyang, while the surrounding areas often simply go dark at night. The result of severely limited electricity production and an outdated power infrastructure. From space, one of the most heavily guarded borders on Earth can be traced simply by the absence of its light. But beyond weak leadership and political borders, vast regions of our planet remain almost completely dark for another reason. Australia is a perfect example of this. Sure, along the coast, cities like Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane glow brightly, but move inland and the lights quickly fade. The harsh interior of the continent remains one of the least populated places on Earth. The same pattern appears in the Amazon rainforest. Despite covering an area larger than most countries, much of the Amazon basin remains almost entirely dark from space. These regions remind us that even with more than 8 billion people on Earth, much of the planet is still untouched by the clustering nature of human beings. But sometimes, the dark areas of Earth are temporarily illuminated. In parts of the ocean, clusters of lights suddenly appear far from land. These are fishing fleets in the Arabian Sea, using powerful lamps to attract squid and other fish to the surface. From space, they could be mistaken for villages or small towns floating in the middle of vast bodies of water. But in other dark areas, lights disappear for far more troubling reasons. In recent years, satellite images have shown parts of Ukraine growing darker as conflict damages energy infrastructure and power supplies. Entire cities can lose power overnight. Eastern and northern regions like near Kyiv or Kharkiv and the southern coast experience the most dramatic reduction in light intensity. And while repairs are ongoing and cities sometimes regain some light, continued strikes mean that darkness remains a defining characteristic of nighttime in war-torn Ukraine. From space, that impact of war can sometimes be seen simply as darkness spreading across the map. Something we are beginning to see over Iran during this latest conflict. And if we look just above Ukraine, just over the border, we can see a stark difference. Moscow, one of the largest cities on Earth, glows intensely from space. At night, its circular road system forms a pattern of light that almost looks like the crater of an enormous artificial meteor impact. These are just some of the extraordinary things our lights reveal from space, but they also reveal something entirely more profound: the fragile nature of our own existence. 8 billion people living together on a narrow band of illuminated land. Sure, from orbit, our cities appear vast and bright, but the darkness surrounding them is a powerful reminder of just how small our presence really is. That isn't me, that's AI. And the reason I'm showing you that is because content like this is becoming increasingly common, especially in space and astronomy. But V101 Space is built differently. This channel is researched, written and narrated by me, a real human who actually checks sources and cares about the stories behind each video. That's why I created the V101 Alliance, a membership offer that, for less than the price of a coffee each month, allows people who values this kind of content the chance to support it directly, and in return get meaningful perks. So if you'd like to join this mission and become a part of the V101 Alliance, become a member today for just $2 by clicking the join button that's located next to the subscribe button. I would love to welcome you, and hopefully I'll be seeing your name in one of my future videos very soon.